Hey, join me today while I dive into my 2026 tournament schedule, and let's see if I can stick to it this time. I didn't figure it out to the last minute. This week was the BFL signups. They went through today. Um, I know how tough it can be to plan a schedule. I went back and forth on a lot of tournaments. I went back and forth on the Toyotas. I went back and forth on being a boater or a co-angler, maybe even fishing some different tournament circuits, which I still may do here. I know how difficult that it can be to plan your tournament schedule. You've got work schedules, you've got family schedules, you've got extended family schedules, you've got holidays, birthdays, all that kind of stuff. And you got to put it down on a calendar, and then you got to work it out. And then when you look at the MLF tournament schedule, if you're fishing a specific division or series, those dates are kind of set in stone. They always seem to kind of overlap someone's birthday, or your wife's planning a trip, or I was going to be out of town that weekend, and something's come up and you don't know. So you can change your mind. It costs you a few dollars. I had to do it once last year. And then you have kind of these destinations you always wanted to go to. Last year, I went to Guntersville in February. It was my first time out there. It was fantastic. I was thinking I might do it again, and then I saw a ton of co-anglers looking for boater links, and I'm like, okay, everybody's doing that now. I was in the 50s last year, so it wasn't too bad. So what I actually tried to do was something a little bit different this year. My tournament's packed with some really cool travel events. I'm gonna hit 4 new lakes, 4 new destinations, lakes and rivers here. I got a total of 11 tournaments. They start in March, they go through September, and hopefully with the regionals in October, I could have 2 regionals this year. I tried to work that in again. And a big tough decision for me was I'm not going to fish the Toyotas this year. I really wanted to. I went back and forth. It's just so hard. They're in the middle of the week. They start up again in like February on Lake of the Ozarks, and then they're in Arkansas on Lake Dardanelle in like June, really, really hot summer. And I'm not sure how good that is. And then I said, oh, maybe I'll go fish the Centrals. That's such a great series, but it's such a competitive series. Great lakes in Tennessee, but that's really far to travel, and to do, commit to a lot of those is pretty tough here. So what I tried to do here, I put the schedule up. The first thing I decided is I'm going to be co-angler in the Illini division again. My whole channel is based on co-angling. I thought about maybe boating that one and co-angling some others. And then I looked at it and I said, I don't know how competitive I would be. And I really, I'm not sure how this new forward-facing rule is gonna turn out. So I'm going to keep co-angling. So that makes 5 tournaments, and hopefully the regional this year is on Kentucky Lake. I fish that division. I've wild carded down there before. So I feel pretty good about that. Who knows? I might jump in an extra one of those. And then what I decided to do was I'm like, I want to go hit some lakes that I haven't been able to hit yet. My first tournament of the year, March 7th on Grand Lake, Okie Division. How did I pick that one? Well, when I've always wanted to fish it, the Ozarks Regional was there last year, and it's there this year, hint. And they called me down. I almost got a last-minute substitute spot in the Toyota Series Championship. So I'm like, that's a destination lake. I really want to get on the calendar here. And then I looked around for something a couple of weeks later, and I'd like to alternate weeks so I'm not away 2 weekends from the wife, and you guys know how that schedule goes too. So on March 28th, I will be in the Mountain Division in Tennessee on Center Hill Lake. It's a highland kind of a reservoir. might retire in Tennessee. We didn't drive by that lake here, so we're going to spend a little extra time and make a road trip with the wife for that one. Then we move on to the first Illini division is April 11th on Wren Lake. A lot of experience on Wren Lake. It was kind of a freeze up last year. It was really cold. It had just been flooded like the Toyota Series on Kentucky Lake here. So, hopefully that's a lot better. Guys tell me it can be really good at that time if we've got a little warm weather and it's not, so bad, but just the water being so high last time. So it's definitely going to be a better Illini opener this year for sure, I think. Okay, next one, not a new lake for me, but a lake I really like. I hit it last year. I want to hit it again. Good old Table Rock Lake on April 4th. My daughter's down in Rogers. It's her birthday. I was hoping it wasn't going to be on her birthday. I might have to cancel this one, but I want to get back down there again. And it's part of the Ozarks division. So strategy number 2 here. I almost made the cut last year with 2 Ozarks. I was thinking about fishing all of the Ozarks, but the first one is Table Rock, January 31st. And then the second one is like February 20th or something. I'm like, those are freezing cold. I mean, yeah, you can catch fish. I think it's just going to be miserable for co-anglers, even with this new forward-facing kind of rule here, where it could be cold and you're out in the middle of the lake scoping. And it could be really tough. I may regret that if I don't make that regional. But I had to make some calls, and I said, okay, we got some other stuff to do. We might be traveling in February, so that's what's going to happen. And then we get right back to the Illini division for the next 2 on Shelbyville and Shelbyville again. Okay, next one. This is going to be the highlight of my year, I think. I was just a couple of weeks ago watching the Bassmaster Open up in La Crosse, Wisconsin. It's always been on the bucket list. I keep saying I'm going to do it. I pulled the string. I registered for the Great Lakes Lacrosse event on May 16th. Maybe some other guys are going to travel up there, and you know who you are here. Maybe we'll get some guys up there. There's one in April. It was really close to the other tournament. It may be a little bit early. I was thinking that one might be a little too early to have some really pre-spawn spawn action here. So hopefully I picked the right one there. And then we're back to the Ozarks, and here I got to check another one off my list for Truman Lake. I've fished the other lakes. I haven't been to Stockton. I haven't been to Truman. So I wanted to get to Stockton last year. Wasn't able to make it, but I'm making Truman this year. That'll be Ozarks tournament number 2 for me. Okay, and then like I said, we've got a Shelbyville in June. Then we've got a Paducah in July. One tournament in July, and it's kind of like Europe. You take 6 weeks off. August is typically off here. The dog days of summer. The bite's usually down until it cools off to September. And then we're back to Super Tournament time. Hopping in the Ozarks Super Tournament. That'll be tournament number 3 in September. I caught a ton of bass last year, but a lot of short ones here, and it's just a good time of year down there. It's just beautiful. Leaves are starting to turn and everything's starting to cool off a little bit. And it's kind of weird here because the Illini tournament is later in the year on 9/26. That's 9/12 back on Kentucky. Oh, no, on Wren. Well, I got ahead of myself there. That's regional. And then 2 regionals to end out the year here. Hopefully I make at least one. It would be great if I could make 2. That's the kind of plan here. The Illini regional is October 15th, starting October 15th at the Kentucky Lake Dam on Kentucky Lake here. And then the Ozarks is back at Grand Lake again on 10/22 here. So I could get to Grand Lake 2 times this year. Grand Lake's about 5 hours away, about 300 miles. That's about as far as I'm traveling here. But it is 430 miles one way to Center Hill Lake, but that's kind of, an extra kind of fun trip, spring break or whatever, and, maybe a little bit of retirement planning here too. So that's the hard schedule for next year, everybody. It was a lot of fun going through it. I didn't, get down to the last minute here. I got linked up with Illini for a boater link. I got an Ozarks link for a couple of them. I got to search out some of those other links, or I signed up right away, which usually kind of gets you into. That's why I wanted to pull the trigger right away. If something happens, you can move them around a little bit. They just charge you a few dollars kind of fee for doing stuff like that. And then I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do on some of those days off here. I didn't get to as many Illini travel lakes as I wanted to. I want to do that here. And then, ITT is fishing no forward-facing sonar. The Team Trail's been sold and under new management. That looks appealing. You've got USA Bassing going on all over the place. I know I've talked with a couple of guys about maybe hopping in a few of those. So we'll see. That'll be a little mystery as we go along here. So, hey, thanks for coming along for the ride here. Hey, there's going to be a lot of cool travel ones this year. I think I'm totally looking forward to La Crosse, Wisconsin on the Mississippi River the most. Who knows? It could be a bust. What do you guys think is the best one on the schedule? What's the best one on your schedule? What's on your bucket list? What are you going to do different this year? Let's have a live stream on Monday and talk about it. Until then, keep your lines tight.